What is up, everyone? Last week, we just got chapter 1056 of One Piece, and Oda has been giving us a lot to eat ever since he came back from the 1 month break. We got a new set of Yonko, we got new ConvertKits Hockey abilities, we got the confirmation of the exact location of the ancient weapon Pluton, not just a speculation of, yeah, here it's on Wada. No, it's in the next room from where we're at right now. We just can't get to it. We showed that the Admirals are under the Yonko in terms of power. I mean,
hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
We got the introduction of the Cross Guild, who are also putting bounties on Marines now. Everything is just flipping in the world of One Piece now that we're entering this last saga. As it stands, whichever the next island that the Straw Hats go to, things are potentially going to be run a lot different. If it's Elbaf, which I'm sure all of us are assuming, then things are probably going to be run different anyway. First thing I really want to talk about, though, is the ConvertKits Hockey artillery strikes. Now, in chapter 1055, we have an introduction of Shanks in Wano. He's off the coast, he's sailing around, but not only is he able to sense Green Bull's exact location, but he's able to send a ConvertKits Hockey strike directly to him, paralyzing him, and honestly probably just scaring him out of his pants. I mean, he looked shook. Now, this is the first time we've seen ConvertKits Hockey used for more than just stunning fodder or as a coating to your attacks to enhance its power, which is also recently introduced in the raid of Onigashima, especially the anime right now, which was sensational. Luffy is probably going to be the only person that's going to be able to do this aside from Shanks. And to me, this opens up a whole new world of possibilities with ship-to-ship combat using ConvertKits Hockey. Like, could you imagine the Straw Hats rolling up to Elbaf and Shanks' crew is just sailing around, kind of circling around Elbaf, waiting for the Straw Hats to arrive? And when they do, Luffy and Shanks are just sending ConvertKits Hockey strikes at each other. Luffy jumps into gear 5th, creates a lightning bolt, throws it at him. Shanks knocks it back. I'm probably getting ahead of myself, and that is absolutely a little bit of headcanon, but I want to see it, Oda. I want to see it, please. Now, another thing that's tying into Shanks that I've been thinking about lately is the voice of all things. So we know that Shanks, or at least it's assumed that Shanks is using the voice of all things to communicate with Green Bull, just as Luffy communicated with the Law's crew and Momonosuke during the raid after he got knocked off the island. So something that I've been thinking about lately, along with ConvertKits Hockey and the voice of all things, is we see each user of the voice of all things also have ConvertKits Hockey. We have Luffy, we have Oden, Roger, Shanks. The only person that we don't see have ConvertKits Hockey with the voice of all things is Momonosuke. So to me, that makes it feel like he has the potential to use ConvertKits Hockey, but he's not quite there yet in ability. I think during the final war, we're going to be seeing a little bit of Momonosuke with ConvertKits Hockey usage, even if it's just something minor like stunning some fodder. Moving on from that whole idea, I'm going to be jumping into another video talking about that topic more in depth. But going back to chapter 1055, Sakiyuki brings Law and Robin, which we get some little cutesy ooh-woo moment, you know, all the Robin or the raw stands, if you want to go that route.
Stop it.
Anyway, I'm past shipping. He brings them both into a secret passage that leads under Wano, showing them that the past of Wano has been submerged due to the physical borders of the country. So the biggest question is, how did those walls come to be created? And the only theory that I can really attach myself to when it comes to that is the Ishi no Mi, Pika's fruit, created them. Obviously not Pika himself, but a past user of the Ishi no Mi. We get the third poneglyph in the chamber that Sakiyuki brings Law and Robin into, and within the next room is the ancient weapon. I'm assuming it's underwater, submerged. They can't get to it. If they open the chamber, it's going to flood them. So that's a lot to unpack, because in order to acquire it, the walls need to be torn down. So Zunisha would really be the best candidate. Or now that we have Momonosuke able to do Boro breaths, I don't know, would a Boro breath really reach that far down into the water to be able to blow a hole through it? I don't think so. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if something like that is within Momo's capability of doing. But it was smart for him to keep those walls up. We got a confrontation with Green Bull, and thankfully he was by himself, and Shanks was there. I don't think that without Shanks, they would have really been able to hold him off effectively, or at least the battle would have been much more prolonged. He might have had Zoro and or Sanji jump in as well. My favorite thing regarding the ancient weapon right now, as far as Luffy, is that his attitude is he doesn't need it. He doesn't want it. He's good. And it's like, of course, because Luffy's whole journey isn't about being able to conquer the sea with force. He's seeking freedom.
支配なんかしねえよ。この海で一番自由なやつが海賊王だ。
But the devil's advocate is, in order to achieve the level of freedom that Luffy really wants, you're going to need power. So why not? So if Luffy doesn't take it, will another villain? Blackbeard is off doing something somewhere. We haven't had a cover story. We haven't had any kind of panels, any dialogue alluding to what he's up to. A lot of us thought that Blackbeard was going to be showing up at the end of Wano. However, when Momonosuke got introduced as the Shogun of Wano, there was a ODA box stating that this is the birth of the man who would later be known around the world as the Great Shogun of Wano, Kozuki Momonosuke. So to me, this implies a little that nothing really bad is going to happen to Momonosuke or Wano. I don't think Blackbeard and his 10 Titanic captains are going to show up and flatline the whole country looking for Pluton. Caribou is really the plot device for any kind of ancient weapon that we've seen in the show. First it was Shirahoshi, and Poseidon. Now it's Pluton. Next time we see Caribou, we can probably assume that Uranus is within the vicinity. That being said about Blackbeard, does he even realize it's there? Unless Caribou is reporting to one of the 10 Titanic captains of his crew, then that would go up the chain to Blackbeard, and he would be informed that Wano indeed had a ancient weapon. So what is going to end up with Pluton? Are we going to see another alliance with the samurai during the final war, where they ride in on Zunisha with Pluton strapped to its head and Momonosuke waving down like, "Hey guys, I'm here for the fight"? Luffy would lose his mind. He would have stars in his eyes for chapters. I just want Zunisha with Pluton strapped to its head.
I have one simple request, and that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
We really are in the era of One Piece where Oda is going to be pulling all the stops. Cross Guild is another really interesting development, because it brings Crocodile and Mihawk back into the story, or more specifically, it brings Crocodile back into the story. Mihawk was still within it. Crocodile was more so a cover story character since Alabasta. So many questions. I'm sure they're all going to be answered in time. Who's considered higher and for what reason? Is Crocodile really pulling the strings within the Cross Guild because of his experience with the underworld and having his own experience running an organization? Would Mihawk be given first mate because of its strength? I'm sort of leaning more towards Crocodile in terms of who's really running the show, or at least who's pulling the strings of the person who thinks that they're running the show. I thought Mihawk would have gone to Shanks personally because of their past together, but granted Shanks was in Wano and Mihawk probably had to get out of there quick. He might have run into Buggy first and was given the opportunity to involve himself with the Cross Guild. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about in terms of Mihawk and Buggy and Shanks and Zoro and the whole ConvertKits Hockey topic. I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit here. I'm going to rein it in. Oda gave us a lot to eat. Talking about everything that we've been going through the last month. Some people state that Mihawk must not have Conqueror's Hockey if he's subservient to Buggy. However, both Zoro and Katakuri are technically subservient to Luffy and Big Mom, and they have Conqueror's Hockey. So that claim doesn't really add up without conflictions. I do think that Mihawk still has Conqueror's Hockey. We've only ever seen him fight during the Marineford War, and that was before Conqueror's Hockey was fleshed out and established as like a power within the world of One Piece. So I'm same with Armament Hockey, Observation Hockey. Those things were never really fleshed out before Marineford. So of course we didn't see a lot of the characters using those powers. We go back now with what we know. I'm sure a lot of those people are going to be using Conqueror's Hockey. Everyone's going to be using Armament Hockey. You're going to see Observation Hockey being used everywhere. So I'd like to hear more about what you guys think in terms of Mihawk and Conqueror's Hockey, whether or not you think he does have it, whether or not you think it's obviously not as effective as Shanks. I don't think anyone is effective with Conqueror's Hockey like Shanks is. And the next thing I really want to get into is the bounties on Marines. Just a little bit on that though, because there isn't a whole lot to go off of. It really is a dangerous time to be in the Navy or the Marines. We see a lot of countries going into revolt and for the most part worshiping Sabo and the Revolutionary Army for what they've been doing. So a lot of the Marines associated with those countries or assigned or stationed at those countries are probably going to be getting a lot of either pushback or confrontation from the civilians there. Oh, now I can make money off of you guys for turning you in or killing you. So there's going to be a lot of build up for the final war. And I think this is going to be another thing that sort of tips the scale in favor of the pirates and the revolutionaries. Now, the man marked by flames. That's another big one. Kid and Killer mentioned seeking out a man marked by flames for their next step. And my question is, I'm sure everybody's question is, who could it be? I immediately thought of Sabo while reading the chapter. However, there are some other candidates. Kuzan, Scopper Gabon, and I've even heard Bullet. Bullet would be far reaching because he's not really canon. So far, we haven't gotten any panels or references to him in the manga alluding to Stampede having elements of canon, other than Stampede does have some elements of canon, but not regarding Bullet. At least not how Strong World does with Shiki. Sabo would be interesting, but I'm assuming Kid doesn't realize Luffy is his brother. So there probably would have been a little bit more dialogue between Kid and Luffy when Luffy was trying to ask him or make him tell him who it was. Kuzan is also a strong one, as Kid must know he has ties to Blackbeard after he left the Marines. Scopper Gabon is another one, but the flame marks would have to be new. They'd have to be something new. If you look back on the Odin flashback and you see Scopper Gabon show up, he doesn't have any tattoos, he doesn't have any scars or burn marks, and if you see what is supposedly him in the current time, he also doesn't have anything that would give off being marked by flames. Not a scar, not a tattoo, not anything like that. So it's a big mystery, and I'm sure Oda's going to be cashing in soon. We are in the final saga, so a lot of the things that Oda's been taking years and years and years to build up, he's going to start delivering them much faster than in the past, where it was just little hints at a time throughout the story. So all in all, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. I'm going to be making some more videos on the voice of all things. I'm going to be doing a little more digging into Pluton and Uranus. I know there's some great videos out there already about the two of them. Artur and Joy Girl have some fantastic videos on the two ancient weapons. Go check them out. I do want to talk a little bit more about the Conqueror's Hockey abilities and what we could be seeing in the future as far as possible abilities with Conqueror's Hockey. Just to wrap everything up, if you liked the video, make sure to hit like and subscribe. That big red button helps me out, helps you out. I'd love to see more of you guys in the comments section. Love to see the community building up more. Also, follow me on twitch.tv/Rathofreptar. I usually do hangouts where we'll read manga together each week as the new chapters come out, like My Hero One Piece, Berserk whenever it comes out, and a few others. I spent some time playing games with friends like Sea of Thieves or whatever new and exciting comes out. You can follow me on Twitter at Rathofreptar and Instagram at Rathofreptar as well. Basically just Rathofreptar across all platforms. So thank you guys for watching. If you stuck around to the end, I appreciate you, and happy viewing.